In 1960, Detroit was a city in transition. The prosperity of the 1950s saw many factories move away from the city to the suburbs, and along with them, thousands of people who could afford to follow the jobs, thus starting an exodus that would forever change the regional landscape. During the 1950s, the white population of Detroit declined by 23%, and the non-white rose by 16.1%. During the 1960s, Berry Gordy created a revolutionary sound in Motown Records, putting Detroit on the map as a music town, with artists like the Supremes, the Four Tops, Stevie Wonder, the Jackson 5, Marvin Gaye, and the Temptations. Motown would take its sound worldwide. The civil rights movement gained momentum after, in 1955, Miss Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on an Alabama bus, and through the early 1960s spread north to places like Detroit. In 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King brought his March for Freedom to Detroit, preaching passive resistance and gaining thousands of supporters. Even Governor George Romney and the Teamsters joined the march. And based on Dr. King's teaching, many brave men and women spread the peaceful resistance movement across lunch counters of the South. In contrast, Malcolm X tells African Americans to rise up and fight the man because there is no place for peace in this revolution. Racial tensions once again hit a boiling point in Detroit and sparked the race riots of 1967. These riots began when Vice Squad officers executed a raid on an after-hours drinking club, or Blind Pig as it was known, in a predominantly black neighborhood at 12th and Claremont Avenue. Within 48 hours, the National Guard was mobilized, to be followed by the 82nd Airborne on the riot's fourth day. The riot lasted a total of 5 days, and at its conclusion, 43 people were dead, 1,189 injured, over 7,000 arrested, and more than 2,000 buildings were destroyed. White and black flight had started after the tragedy. Feeling the city was truly broken, thousands left the city for the suburbs, leaving behind a city in ruins. In Detroit, the shortage of housing was further exacerbated by urban renewal projects during the 1950s and 60s. Entire neighborhoods were bulldozed to make way for freeways that linked the city and the suburbs. Neighborhoods that met their fate were predominantly black. To build Interstate 75, Paradise Valley, or Black Bottom neighborhood as it was known, was buried beneath concrete. As the oldest black enclave in Detroit, the Black Bottom neighborhood was the heart of Detroit's black community, both commercially and culturally. During the 1960s, Belle Isle was still a place of refuge from the tensions and tears of modern city life. People continued to flock to the island to recreate and relax. It was a place where all races mixed in the pursuit of enjoyment. During the riots, the National Guard could be found patrolling the island, and the bathhouse was used as a makeshift prison. This was also the height of the Cold War, and in 1961, a Nike missile base was installed on the southeast side of the island in preparation for a looming Soviet attack.